Got it, ready?
Yep, it's about it.
If anything, turn off the kitchen light.
I was trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, turn off the, if you want to turn off that kitchen light, that'd be great. I'd rather have it dim behind you than any, I thank you. Too much green?
Too much green.
Yeah, that's fine. That way there's nothing there.
Nothing there.
That's all.
I was really concerned about that.
That.
Okay, nothing there.
Exactly.
Stand behind, have everybody else standing behind.
Okay. Somebody mark it. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know how to mark it, mark it there.
Turn here. If you're looking at it from here,
Stand behind you?
Yeah, stand behind you.
yeah, we all got it.
I got you. Sir.
All right, set up. Either way. Okay, folks, thank you for coming out. Since my pastor's here, I'm going to have him say a prayer for us, and then we'll get started. Okay? Pastor.
Good morning. Prayer is always appropriate in any important undertaking, and we see this as being a very important undertaking. Let's go to God in prayer. Dear God, we come this morning with thanksgiving in our hearts, thanking you for all that you allow us to do. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you for our candidate, Yan Scotland, as you have blessed him to be able to rise to this occasion. So as we're here today to listen at facts, figures, we ask you to be in the midst. And we ask you, oh God, that whatever we do, that you would sanction it and that it would be done decent and in order. This we ask in Jesus' name. We ask it for his sake. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Reverend James H. Willis, Sr., in case you need that information there. All right, I'm going to start way off script because some things you can't make up. and I think I have those kind of things that are going through with what we're doing. So let me pull this up. I apologize. But this is from the mayor's press conference in September of last year. See if I can find it quickly. Thought I had, but of course it just dropped off. All right. Well, it's not on here. Bottom line is that the mayor at the time made a proposal that said that the roots of the problem in Toledo are mental illness, housing, all other things that we're working on anyway, and that's how he was going to go about solving crime. Everybody knows the story of Nero, where he sat on a rooftop fiddling while Rome burned. That's what this sounded like. It sounded like more of fiddling around and having an excuse to do nothing. And since that time, we've had over 50 murders. We've had 1,000 or so shootings. We've had countless violent crimes and home invasions and things of that sort. Yet there's still nothing going on in any aggressive way in the city to take care of crime. Then 7 months ago, he put together a czar, for no better word, to work on violent crime. Nice young man, what is his name? Juwan Armour, who's very capable, but he was given no authority. He is just now getting his staff in place. So once again, an excuse to do nothing for another 7 months. I understand there was a report yesterday that I haven't had a chance to look at. This is ridiculous. This is just sitting on your hands while things are getting worse and worse, and coming up with excuses to just sit on the sidelines while everybody waits for somebody to do a report. We have not had the things that I'm going to be talking about in the last year, or 4 years for that matter. But I have a 3-point presentation as to what I think we should do. The first thing is to get the police back involved with communities. People are acting like police officers are pariahs. They're not feeling like they have the support of the community, and as a matter of fact, they feel like it's almost dangerous because of some of the things that have been done to vilify. And so we're not getting what we need out, and we have to turn that around. We have to get our community leaders, we have to get our ministers, we have to get everybody back involved in support of our police department, or we're going to continue to have more retirements, and we're not going to be able to recruit. We need to strengthen some of the things that are being allowed. You know, they're spitting on police officers, throwing water bottles at them, you know, endangering them, obstructing justice. We can't have that happen. So we're going to have to do things to make it clear that we're serious about it, whether it's fines or jail time, whatever it is. Whenever we can identify people, we got to get them off the street and make them understand that that's not going to happen. And we have to go after people that already have warrants that are maybe involved in violent crime. And just get them off the street and have our court system support keeping them off for a period of time. So those are the things that I think we need to do in the police department. They're immediate kind of things that I think that we can get done in a short period of time, but at least it'll be more than what we've had done now. The answers to our problems are really not all that difficult. It's the commitment to taking care of those problems and making sure that we implement things regardless of political correctness. That is what's lacking, and that's what I plan to bring to the mayorship. So now let's talk about the next step in this, and that's youth. We have right now what they call a pipeline to crime. This is nothing for our youth to do. So when we say that we are for our youth and support our youth, that only comes up when it's politically sex talk about it. But for the rest of the time, they do nothing. So, for instance, this year, like every other year, keep getting together now, we put some spotty athletics out there. We barely get the pools open, and the kids have nothing to do. And as a result of having nothing to do, they choose the things that are available for it. You know, you can't choose to be on a team, then you'll choose to be on a game. And that has got to stop. We've got to try to create an atmosphere where that happens. But what happens more often than not is that you have administration that comes in. They may be enthusiastic and put money towards sports and stuff like that. Next administration comes in and all that gets wiped out. So we've got to do something to make sure that it doesn't happen. My proposal is to create a Toledo Joint Recreation District that would handle the youth athletics and youth enrichment for the city as a separate organization funded separately. I propose that we take some of that $180 million that we're getting in to get it jump started and support it until it can stand on its own feet. And this organization would not only provide recreation and that type of stuff, it would also take over the management of the parks, take over some coordination of gyms around the city with the TPS being involved, and basically do the things that the city's not able to do. Now, this has been proposed to the city at least 3 times, but they don't want to give up control of the parks that they're doing nothing with, and they don't want to give up any money that they're doing nothing significantly positive with. And so the end result is that we do not have any athletics. The parks are in total disrepair, and our kids are making the choice that we don't want them to make, and that's what we got to cut out. So I have more information. I put a little summary there through community joint district, and I will expand on that because it's too big to talk about at this one press conference. Third and last thing that I'm proposing is it relates to crime. So we've dealt with the immediate issue. We dealt with trying to get kids to keep from getting in trouble in the first place. But then we need jobs. We need jobs for people that are past the age of youth recreation and development, and they need to do something to change their lives. And I referred to a comment in a movie where the one of the heroes said, why was I born into this situation? And the wise man said, you know, we can't control what we're born into, but all we can control is where we go from here. And that's what we have to have these young people understand. Don't complain about where you are, because that's where you are. But let's talk about what you can do to get out of where you are. And so I know there are training programs, groups like Northwestern Building Trades and things like that have training for skills that the companies really need. And you know, whether it's pipe fitting, welding, or whatever. But these are things that there's an enormous call for, and other jobs like that out there that we need to incorporate into a training program for these youth who are serious about moving on to the next level. And that can be done with proper leadership. You got to connect one to the other, and then you got to move forward. And I think that with the right leadership, which I think I have, we can pull those groups together and provide jobs for those that are serious about moving on to the next level. So that is it in a nutshell. Each one of these statements have expansions on them that I think we can talk about in the future as a separate press conference. Too complicated to do here. But the bottom line is the answers are simple. It's a commitment to follow through with those answers that is lacking, and I intend to follow through.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, what is your take on the recent gun roundup and the incentives to get the guns off the streets? A lot of people say those may or may not matter.
Everything is good to get guns that are off the street, but it doesn't affect our problem. People who are intent on committing crimes aren't giving up their guns. So, you know, it sounds great, like, once again, you know, politically sexy and all that good stuff, but the overall scheme of things, it's not going to mean much.
If elected mayor, it sounds like you're going to be tough on crime, right?
That is true, and you know, that's the thing that people have to understand. They want to be safe, but then the things that you're going to have to do to make them safe can be, you know, touchy. So you're going to have to get leaders like Reverend Willis and other leaders in the community to make that connection and say, hey, this is what we want, this is what we have to do to get there. You have to be committed to do that. Otherwise, your kids and your grandkids and people that don't even have anything to do with gangs are getting shot and killed every day.
You spoke about the pipeline to prison. How do you think you can, you know, some of these young people, maybe they're not interested, they're just interested in goofing off and playing around and not learning in school, be it TPS, be it other schools, and then they graduate or some of them drop out and then they're out there. How are you going to try to reach those ones that may be a little tougher to reach?
Well, I've run the Sleepy Hollow Athletic League for almost 30 years. And what I found is that athletics is a big draw for those kinds of kids. And so what we have done is brought those kids in. You know, we always tell them we want you to have fun, we want you to learn the sport, and we want to teach you respect for authority. And I have found that to be a very effective thing. Now, athletics isn't for everybody, but there are other youth enrichment type things like music, chess, you know, all kinds of things that you can do that you'd be surprised what these kids are interested in. And a lot of people, you know, and maybe rightfully so, say, oh, these kids are out of control. But what I have found is that given an option, they're going to take it, and because they just want to belong to something. And if you give them something to belong to that's positive, then you have a chance to keep them out of the game.
How do you reach and identify those who are in gangs? Because I've been to church and they've said that people who need to hear this message are not here. It's mostly women and children. So the young men in the community are not in church. So how do you reach those people who are in gangs and they feel like there's no way out?
Well, fortunately, I believe that the Toledo Police Department has a pretty good understanding of who's in the gangs, who's causing the most trouble, and that kind of stuff. I think we got to utilize those resources to find those people and to talk to them about what's going to help them turn around. And then making it clear that violence and crime is not acceptable, but we want to offer something different if that's what's needed. So we can identify it. I don't think that's a problem. How we get to them, once again, I think ministers are good for that. I think there are other community leaders that work with them. So we have the resources to do it. It just has to be pulled together.
Yesterday, the chief of police was at city council and he started talking about that shooting at Savage Park, no one called 911, and then when they got there, no one would give up any names if they knew anybody. And it was recently discovered through video that young man who started, or he was returning fire, was on a park bench. Two men came through between two houses, were shooting him, and they shot at each other. One was just watching it and then was getting shot at. How can you, I mean, how do you speak about that?
You know, fortunately or unfortunately, I happened to be at that park about half an hour before the shooting started myself and one of my people were here. And I was surprised because it was going so well and it seemed like people were really into it, and I said, man, this is a good thing, they should expand on it. And then all of a sudden you got somebody from nowhere that come in. You have to start utilizing the resources. We have cameras, we have some people that will speak, they won't speak while they're at the park obviously, but you got to find ways of letting them know that they can come and give information safely. I've been told by some people in the community that they don't feel safe because it seems like people that are talking are being, it's being leaked. And so they're a little bit afraid of talking. So we've got to pull all that together. We've got to develop the trust, and then we will get it. But if you have people standing on either side, police and then community, there's no way that's going to happen. So we got to redevelop that.
I have an unrelated question. I'm curious. We know that COVID is surging right now, and the mayor the other day he said movement in the B project has been falling behind getting communities of color vaccinated. What do you make of his remarks, and how would you help boost the vaccine effort now that we're seeing COVID resurge?
There is a lot of fear, and now you hear people go back to the Tuskegee project and talk about that, which is totally unrelated to anything that's happening now. Once again, it's a matter of trust. Somehow we've got to get the community leaders to embrace, and maybe we go church by church or community center by community center and try to get that done. It is not an easy task when you have this much distrust. And even though you see so many people who are dying without the vaccination, and the ones that are catching the new version are mostly people that haven't been vaccinated, folks are still scared to death. And it's hard to understand, but all we can do is keep working.
I want to go back to the community policing effort. Cardi, who's also running, said that block watch programs under his watch in the 80s and 90s were somewhere in the 200 range, and now they're down to 20. What's your take on the block watch programs? Are they effective?
I think they are effective, but I think, once again, you talk about commitment from one administration to others. So all I could do is commit to that for my administration. Next person might come in and say, I want to use that money for something else. But I think it's important to get the police out to the community, and that is something that we have to work on hard, and that's one of the avenues that I would want to take.
Thank you.
Okay, you good? All right. Thank you.
All right, bro, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
That was a great report. Wow.